First and foremost, Doc, amazing job. He's going to articulate a lot. I'm going to articulate a lot of the same things, but not so eloquently. Give it a try. I think to get things started, by way of introduction, hi, I'm James. My background comes actually from the marketing and media space. And the reason I'm in the AI business is because it's in the center, right? When you start talking about the amount of data that's available in the world, the only way to process it is through artificial intelligence. And so joining Ben, let's see, there we go. Ben is a company that we're focused in on engaged human behavior and attention. Where do people spend their time, energy, and focus? And how does that change our behaviors? See, in the media and marketing space, that's huge. Because if you can understand what drives people's thoughts, beliefs, and actions, you can start to change them and modify them. And so this is a place where you can very much enter the world of AI and apply it immediately to grow your business and to change fundamentally how you operate, especially when it comes to data. Now, let's see, this button. There we go. Now, from some of our past work, you've probably seen it. Who's seen James Bond? We made him drink a Heineken as opposed to a martini. Who's seen the Barbie movie? We put all the cars in there. They're all GM, right? And that, again, putting brands in those key moments changes the way that you think about those brands. Now, you think, okay, that's an artful, like, creative endeavor. It's all data. See, that's the fun part. See, when you look at the world through a lens of data, you start to see a lot more of what's possible if you can tap into it, leverage it, and scale it in ways that artificial intelligence truly unlocks. And so what I want to do is I want to talk about data. Now, we've got a good crowd here. Raise your hand if you are touching data, working with data, leveraging data in your day-to-day job. All right, we got most people. Okay, let's keep those hands up. Keep those hands up. Keep your hand up if you leverage more than 10% of the available data to you. All right, we got a good amount. Keep your hand up if it's more than 20%, more than 30, more than 40, more than 50. All right, we got a few people. 60, 70. We're doing good. Okay, look, hey, by all accounts, if you're using 70% of your data and doing it well, you're a rock star. You're doing phenomenally. As the doctor mentioned earlier, about 10 years ago, we had a big data craze where we pulled in as much data as humanly possible. And I will say, most conversations that I have with people, most CEOs, CMOs, top-level executives, CIOs, they're drowning in it. They don't know how to process it. They don't know how to leverage it in ways that are going to be intelligent. And ultimately, it's sitting there. And so when I start talking about that to them about, well, how do you leverage your data better? I then start talking about, okay, what about your unstructured data? And then they're just like, I give up. Because, oh my gosh, they were like, if we were to do that same exercise again, when you start thinking about, oh, what about the unstructured data elements that are at your fingertips? That is a bigger challenge. Because again, the infrastructure in the world of AI and the world of just technology as a whole, we're at its beginning of being able to process that, leverage it, and do more with it. And so when I talk about data, when we talk about structured versus unstructured, one of the key things is that unstructured data, your audio, your visual, your images, your long blocks of text, that provides the context as to what is happening on your structured data standpoint, right? When you look at a business and you think, wow, our profits are up. The largest reason, right, those things are up or down or different, come from unstructured data sources. What are our consumers doing? What are they thinking? What is changing their behaviors? Those are unstructured data sources. And so unstructured data provides a lot of context that if you can understand that interaction, you can enhance your capabilities, enhance the intelligence that you bring to the table. You can create systems of efficiency to control those behaviors more directly, and at the end of the day, drive profit. See, one of the key things when we're looking at all of the available data, and you mentioned this well, is there's a lot of data that is garbage. There's a lot of data that doesn't provide context as to what's happening. It doesn't provide any level of intelligence as to what we should do, what changes we should make as a business.
And so you have to be able to sift through that and do that in very intelligent ways. And so what I want to talk about is I want to talk about 4 ways that we as a business at BENlabs have been able to very much take data, make it more applicable, and apply it in intelligent ways for ourselves and for our clients. Again, we started in the media space. Everybody here is familiar with ChatGPT, DALL-E 2, Midjourney. There's a lot of conversation and breakthroughs coming out in the world of media because there's a lot of data. And so being able to leverage that amount of data, do so in intelligent ways, is what has transformed us as a business and helped transform our clients to be able to better leverage what's in front of them. And so what I want to talk about is specifically 4 principles that we've learned along the way that anybody should look at and utilize as you're looking at how do you better leverage AI to process and manage the data that you have at your fingertips and to do so intelligently. So, item number 1. Number 1, you have to contextualize your data. You have to understand what is valuable. So I'll give you an example of what we're looking at here. So this is, let me back up actually. When you're talking about contextualizing your data, you're talking about understanding why certain things act or behave the way that they do. Now, when you look at a spreadsheet, when you look at your structured data, you say, oh, hey, this marker is changing. Again, you have to look to the data sets that can help provide the reason, the rationale behind why those things are happening. So in the media and marketing space, we looked at audience behavior. And if you think about your business, right? Businesses rely on connecting with their audiences, connecting with really their consumers. And if we can understand what their consumers are thinking, why they're thinking those things, we can better navigate and predict. So that's what we did. Number 1, we looked to find data sets that we weren't at the time actively tapping into. And so what we look at, what this is a map of the social media space. Social media. It is a map, it is a data set that allows you to understand, well, what are people watching? What are people engaging with? What is most interesting? What is trending, right? All of those things. So when you look at this, this is raw data. This isn't actually, this isn't a marketing thing. This is like an actual output. Every single dot is a creator, a brand, a politician, literally anybody with a following, right? You're looking at the Mr. Beasts of the world, the Oprahs of the world, right? And now that's every single one of those dots. And then we group them together, again, leveraging artificial intelligence tactics, right? We grouped them together, clustered them based on the similar actions and behaviors of their audiences. And what you see here is actual social neighborhoods. This is more of a discovery than it is an invention of technology. Well, yes, we had to invent the technology to be able to do this. But what we're seeing is that people live in the same way that we live in physical neighborhoods. We discovered that they live in social neighborhoods, where each one of these groups are places where people are rubbing shoulders and watching the same content. Hey, if you're interested in this, there's a high likelihood that you're also interested in this. Not even just that you're interested, you're watching it. See, all of a sudden, we've now just contextualized your audience. So for our brand partners, what we do is we can walk into a room, first meeting, you've given us no data, and I can walk in and say, okay, here's where your audience lives. Here's what they're interested in. Here's where your competitor audiences are. Here's what they're doing, interested, watching, engaging with. And all of those things tells them, well, what's relevant to them right now? What is relevant to your audiences? What is relevant to who you're talking to and who you're connecting with? And if you want to understand why you're changing as a business, this is a way to contextualize those data sets and those points. Now, this was unlocked by using a data set that was not available at the time, or that was not being leveraged appropriately at the time. And so we had to leverage technology to unlock that. Now, the second piece that I want to touch into, this is an example of you can actually tap into any single one of these groups very, very intelligently, very quickly, now that you've developed the types of algorithms to contextualize what's happening for your audience at any given time. Now, Dr. Ahmed mentioned this earlier. The quality of your data is paramount. See, we can take the same data set, the same example that we just gave, And we can say, well, actually, that's not a map of real people. It's a map of bots. I mean, who's familiar with Twitter, now called X, and the whole controversy of how many real people are actually using it, right? I'm not here to get into that battle, but what I will say is that in order to leverage this data set appropriately, you have to be able to filter out bad actors. Bots are really good at liking, commenting, clicking, giving you a fake email address, signing up, spending time on your website, giving you all the messy signals, right? How much data? Now, this is a very blatant and clear example of where your data can lead you down the wrong path. You can say it's data backed, it's data driven, this is what we should do. But because you gave it garbage in, you're going to get garbage out. So we had to build algorithms that helped identify what was the garbage and how do you remove it. And so what we're looking at here is, for example, there's a T-SNE graph where we're outlining we're analyzing the behavioral differences between bot actors and real people. See, these are things that we as humans have the ability to do, right? If you go into again, I'm talking in the world of social media for the sake of example, but if you go into any account, you can say like, oh yeah, of course, they only ever comment smiley faces and fire emojis, and they're following 20 million people, but nobody follows them, clearly a bot. That's something you can do. But guess what? Are you going to do that a million times over and manually go through your data set? No. The promise of artificial intelligence is that it can learn like a human and make decisions like a human, but it can scale like a machine. So when you're building your algorithms, when you're talking about building, how do you apply artificial intelligence to your business? Take that same lens and apply it to the data sets that you're pulling in to make sure that they are cleaned up and managed appropriately. One of the things I'll call out is this section right here, where you've got the purple and the blue overlapping. That's where the human actions and the bot actions are actually quite similar, and they look very, very close. Well, with the advent of ChatGPT and all the use of artificial intelligence in bot creation, it makes sense. We're fighting a Terminator war on just this front alone. And so it's really important that as we look at all of the available data, as we're pulling information that's valuable to us as a company, that we are taking the same level of rigor into what our outputs should be as to what our inputs are. We have to be diligent about that, right? Because otherwise, again, you can spend all of the money in the world and build the most amazing algorithms and have them deliver you nothing because they're not helping. They're built on bad data. Now, the third piece is, okay, compile your AI toolkit. See, one of the key things is in the world of artificial intelligence is that many of you here are probably building some types of algorithms. Hey, we want an algorithm that does this. We want to dive into machine learning. Here's the inputs. Here's the outputs. Let's do this. But the reality is that we're going to talk about what Dr. Ahmed mentioned, the swarm, right? We are actually able to do more together and pull different parts and pieces from what is openly available in the world. You should not build your AI systems in a vacuum, right? So one of the things that we have at Ben is we have over 15 million creators and brands who leverage our technology to be data-driven in creating content. So what they use is they leverage one of our systems we call it TubeBuddy that has over 70 different tools that they have available at their fingertips to be able to create content better, smarter, faster, easier. Again, diving into the enhancement and the efficiency of what their outputs are. Because at the end of the day, creators and brands alike, if you can do that, you make more money with that data. And so TubeBuddy is a tool set. It's not just one algorithm or one set of algorithms. It is a ton of different tools, some of which the tools are simply combining two separate algorithms where they are now interacting with each other in more intelligent ways. And so there's a lot of open source technology out there. Compile it, use it, and then maybe spend your time, rather than rewriting the base level code to solve the next challenge for your business, maybe the code should be more about connecting tool sets and capabilities and data sets that already exist. So that way you can get farther, faster, prove the value of what you're doing before you and then go in and build and do more. If you want to talk about streamlining your investments, AI toolkits that are, again, pulling things that already exist out in the world are a phenomenal way to go. Now, number 4, the last thing that I want to highlight is look for predictability. We can drown in the world of AI in the same way that you can drown in the world of data. You're constantly building something new, and it's getting better and better and better at something that you want it to accomplish. But here's the thing. Everything that you build, everything that you should do, at the end of the day, as a business, probably should affect your bottom line. It was mentioned earlier, again, phenomenally, that if we aren't simulating and predicting what is going to happen and being able to make informed recommendations around what we should do, hey, if XYZ is happening, that means in 2 weeks this is going to happen. If we don't have that system in place, then all we are doing is doing a better job at analyzing our data and saying, well, this is what happened in the past. It's good, it's great, but predictability is the thing that AI can do extremely well. It's the thing that people do extremely well. We are very good at saying, you know what? I'm seeing the signs. Here's what's going to happen. The problem is that we as people are only able to comprehend or process a limited amount of data. And so we want to be able to build that same type of predictive power, but do it in a way that scales. And so look for predictability is a key focus, because it's very easy to get lost in areas in which, well, are valuable, but are they valuable to the business's bottom line? You need to be able to build your technology in a way that gives you predictive power so you can make informed decisions before those outcomes happen. So in the world of again, marketing and AI, we've done this to where we can predict, if you post a video on YouTube, we can tell you or how many organic views it's going to get before it goes live. We can tell you where your audiences are going to drop off, where they're going to lose attention, where you should probably make some tweaks and adjustments to your content. We can make predictions on, and quite accurately, how many clicks you're going to get, how many conversions, how many purchases, what your ROI is going to be. Because if you remember, the data sets that we've pulled in the world that people inhabit in the social space. And that provides a context to the structured data points that we want to predict against, which is how many sales am I going to drive if I advertise with this many dollars in this place, in this way. And so what that allows us to do is it allows us to optimize for our clients marketing spends and capabilities in ways that were not possible before, because we can very now quickly say, okay, if you work with this creator, if you get into this next big movie, here's the reach you're going to get, here's the impact you're going to have, here's the ROI, and guess what? We're doing that with 90% accuracy for your brands right now. That requires customization and optimization for the specific brands, but that's a level of predictive power that all of a sudden says, absolutely, I'm not making that decision, or absolutely I am. Or hey, you know what? That's not really where we wanted to go. Here's the things that we tweak it. You can simulate now your media planning and your buying. Now, I've talked a lot about the media and marketing worlds as a clear example of Ben's journey in leveraging artificial intelligence in building out what is now applicable solutions and capabilities that we provide to our clients. We've transformed from, hey, let's help you integrate into the next James Bond movie, to let us help you leverage your data to create predictive systems that inform creative decision-making, business decisions, and really help build and grow your bottom line. Now, I do want to open it up for a couple of questions, should there be any, but I do also want to just call out just a couple of quick examples of where we've helped our clients do this and do this well. So who's heard of TikTok? So we helped TikTok become TikTok. We helped them grow as a platform to become one of the dominant players in the space. When we worked with them, we ran a program, again, in a marketing capacity. They did phenomenally. They were like, great, let's do this again. In the process, we created the data feedback loop to understand what was working for them, what wasn't. And so when they said, hey, here's the next marketing program that we want to do, we said, love it. You're going to see the same results. And they said, I love this. Let's do that. And I said, hold on. if you tweak it in these ways, you can double your results. Same investment. Now, they were like, I don't know what you're doing over there, but like, they put us to the test. They said, let's run it side by side. Let's see what happens. We were 96% accurate in the predictions on both sides. They were jumping up and down in their offices because, again, you're talking about massive growth and expansion. And we quite quickly, worked ourselves out of a job because we got them to be critical mass and moving. We changed culture because we had the data sets and the predictability to do so. If anybody here is a gamer, we've actually launched over 200 AAA titles, but one that I'm particularly proud of is Apex Legends, major competitor to Fortnite. We announced it and launched it in the same day. We were able to garner 50 million users in a month. ChatGPT beat us. They got 100 million users in 2 months, so like props to them. But hey, we're happy. We're pretty proud of that. That group, 50 million users, have generated over $2 billion in revenue since its launch. We were able to predict the output of that initial program with 99.98% accuracy. And it's because, and again, announced and launched same day. See, once you understand and you have the systems in place to contextualize audiences' behavior, right? And contextualize the world in which they're inhabiting, you can now talk about how do we change it and adjust it to help grow our businesses. Then this is what we now help our clients do. Again, every client and every brand is different, so you're talking about a level of customization. But if you are talking and interested in leveraging artificial intelligence in your business to improve your bottom line, those are the 4 principles that have helped us, both as a company, grow and change in who we are and how we operate, but also help our clients do the same thing. Those are 4 key principles that were very much echoed earlier today, that I cannot stress enough as a level of importance in how you are building out your systems. Now, with that said, I've got, I think, a whopping 3 minutes. So are there any questions or comments? If not, I'll let everybody else go early. Questions or comments from the crowd? No? Amazing. Yes?
What's a good place to start contextualizing?
A good place to start contextualizing your data. Very good question. So look at I would start, to be honest, with predictability. What do you want to predict? What is the data sets that you as a human, when you think, if I was to predict this, what are the things that are important? Make sure that you have that data and that you have any surrounding data that is supporting. So basically what you're talking about is a tier lower. So you might say, I want to predict what next quarter's profits are going to be, right? That's a pretty big ask, but for the sake of example, so you're going to want to look at, all right, well, what were this quarter's? What was last year's? So you're going to want to look at historical data. You're going to want to look at sales trends, all, whatever things that you're looking at. And then you're going to want to try and go one layer deeper with each of those to contextualize that set of data. That's a good place to start. So start with your, what you use as a human and build from there. Because AI should be learning like a human, scaling like a machine. Any other questions? Thank you. Yes?
So you talk a lot about bad data in, bad data out kind of thing. Right?
Yes.
Obviously, more prevalent with AI and just the sheer volume of data. Is there any mechanisms or anything that you suggest to kind of help clean up that data or really pull out what you're looking for to kind of get those parameters?
Yeah, I wish there was a simple just use ChatGPT. I wish it was simple. For us, we had to build an algorithm to actually sort through and sift through the data for us. For other scenarios, other people, it's going to be for some people, it's going to be starting over. For others, it's going to be cleaning through things in a little bit more of a manual or collaborative AI process. So there's no one trick to do it, but I will emphasize the importance of it. Amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate the time.